Okay, so welcome back for this second video within the Good Trouble series, where we're going to take a look at logical fallacies to avoid as we're trying to make these strong arguments in support of our positions. Again, starting out with a quote that I think was relevant to the discussion we're having right now. So Bo Bennett, who was an American is an American social psychologist, an author, graphic designer, as well as critical thinking podcast host. He has quoted as saying, "Expose an irrational belief, keep a man rational for a day. Expose irrational thinking, keep a man rational for a lifetime." And so trying to learn as to what are really substantive arguments and what are kind of logical fallacies or incorrect arguments that could be made that really don't advance the position that you're trying to make within your essay or your discussion. Okay, so in this first example of logical fallacies or things to avoid when you're making your arguments is the straw man fallacy. And so a straw man fallacy is an oversimplification or truly a misrepresentation of your argument. So you basically set up an argument or set up a straw man that is easier to knock down, that is easier to attack than the opponent's original position. And so using some headlines to go along with this. So taking a look at this, the Green New Deal would destroy the American dream, create an American nightmare. And so, are you an American? Do you have the American dream? Therefore, if you have that, you cannot support the Green New Deal. And so, support the American dream or support the Green New Deal. And so get individuals that are, promoting Americanism, that, don't want to go into an American nightmare. They are going to kind of reject the Green New Deal based on this argument. Now, the second of these is the bandwagon fallacy. The bandwagon fallacy is this idea, you see with sports that when a team, is making it into the playoffs, that is maybe making it to the championship, you get a lot of bandwagon fans that jump on at the last minute to celebrate the accomplishments. And so a bandwagon fallacy is this idea that the popularity of an idea is not enough to validate the argument. And so in this case, and I didn't write the year down with this, I think it was 2022, there was a post that was made saying 1,100 scientists say there is no climate emergency. And so 1,100 people came out and said, don't worry about climate change, don't worry about global warming. And so is that 1,100 people enough to sway some individuals that global warming and climate change is not a reason to concern or a topic to concern? And we see that there are arguments that, if the science isn't settled, if there are a large number of people that are arguing against it, that maybe that's not something to do. And so you have people joining in with this bandwagon to kind of minimize the impact of climate change. Now, the appeal to authority fallacy is this idea that we rely on a person of power or a person of authority that believes something that's true. But sadly, just because they believe it's true, it doesn't necessarily make it true. And so in this case, taking a look at a headline here, the Trump White House made deliberate efforts to undermine COVID response, according to a report that came out. And so for a large population within the United States, they did not, view the COVID-19 pandemic as being a true emergency because they resorted to the authority, in this case, the President of the United States at that time, Donald Trump, who viewed that it was not a significant concern, and therefore his followers, the people that followed his reasoning, that looked at him as an authority figure, did not recognize that or did not view that that was an emergency situation. Now, in the false dilemma fallacy, sometimes referred to as a false dichotomy, you're looking at something that's a little bit similar to that straw man argument, where you make an argument that is easier to knock over than the original argument. But in the false dilemma fallacy, what we're looking at is presenting a complex issue in terms of two opposing viewpoints. So you're either with me or you're against me, instead of a spectrum of possibilities. And so again, using a news headline from 2020, Trump's top trade advisor, Peter Navarro, over here, blasts tone-deaf medical experts leading the U.S. coronavirus response and says the economic shutdown is worse than the virus. So basically putting this into a situation where you're either going to be, following the medical and scientific experts that are saying that this is a medical emergency, and we need to kind of slow down the spread and kind of shut down the economy, in essence, what we're talking about there, by having people kind of socially distance themselves, or from his standpoint, promoting economic growth and promoting people being able to go to their jobs and make an income. You're either one or the other. It's either a medical emergency or promoting the economic well-being of individuals, without recognizing the spectrum that is between that. So the next fallacy is sometimes referred to as the Texas Sharpshooter Fallacy, with the idea that the sharpshooter is going to shoot at an object, the bullet's going to hit the object, and then you go over and basically draw a circle around where the bullets hit. Now, in this fallacy, you basically cherry pick the evidence that you're going to use in order to support your conclusion. And so what I've got here is a Newsweek headline from 2023 looking at U.S. Senator Ron Johnson saying, well, climate change is beneficial in some situations. Climate change is, in his words, pretty good for the residents of his home state of Wisconsin, because if the climate is warming, then it's going to be warmer in these colder locations like Wisconsin, which is in the kind of upper Midwest region of the United States. And so while it may cause kind of pain and suffering and destruction in many other regions of the world, many other regions within the United States, in this case, those in Wisconsin are going to gain more than they're going to be suffering. And the result of that is that basically cherry picking the evidence that shows the benefits to his constituency as opposed to the burden that is being borne by individuals around the country and around the world. In a red herring argument, basically what you're doing is introducing something that is irrelevant to the point that's being made. And so making an irrelevant argument to change the subject, and so move away from the point that others are being presented, others are presenting, in order to divert attention from that original point. Again, so an example of this from the headlines from 2023, Marjorie Taylor Greene, U.S. House of Representative member from Georgia, claims that the lack of tax raises during the Ice Age proves that climate change is a hoax, basically arguing that we should not have to deal with climate change now and expend government dollars to address this, because during the Ice Age no taxes were collected. And so, making a point, because I don't think a whole lot of taxes were collected during the Ice Age, it basically kind of shifts the argument away from discussing climate change to discussing whether or not they were collecting taxes during the Ice Age. Okay, so that's going to finish up this first set of logical fallacies. Please come back for the second set in this video, next set in this video, for another set of logical fallacies. As always, please see the description below for additional information and references. Thank you, and have a great day.